Okay, we're doing the outline assignment now. The outline assignment is kind of the bridge between our research and our writing. Okay, I have provided most of what you need, okay, to do the assignment on the assignment. So this will be a little bit different. You're not going to have to attach anything from your folder, okay, but I would save a copy of this in your folder, okay? So save a copy of this in your folder. I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. Okay, but just click on the outline that you're given. Okay, I'm not going to mess with this because it will actually edit what you have in your assignment. This is the template. It's how I send out stuff that you guys can edit. You all get your own copy with the assignment. So whatever you type on there is fine, but whatever I type on here is going to show up on yours, so I'm not going to type anything on it. Okay, I have over here to the right hand side some comments to remind you of what we're actually trying to do with this. Remember, this looks a little bit different from what I showed you yesterday. Yesterday I showed you the one that had Zeus on it. Okay, this is the one where you're going to fill in the blanks. Okay, so where it says here, this thesis statement, remember this is representative of our introduction paragraph. It sets the tone for the entire essay. The stuff that is not underlined, leave it. Okay, all you're going to fill in is what's underlined. Okay, so your guide's job, it needs to have a verb though. Okay, so your guide, I forgot to underline this part. Okay, so you need to insert your guide's name in this underlining. Okay, so if you have Athena, okay, Athena played his part. Well, that Athena's a girl, so you're going to have to change the pronoun. Okay, in Greek culture, by being the goddess of wisdom. Okay, you'll have to put a verb in that one. All right, and interestingly enough, okay, and then insert one of your guide's interesting facts, okay, in this underlined portion. Okay, all of the rest of the stuff that you need to fill in, okay, is underlined. Don't have it underlined when you actually type it in there. Okay, these are concrete details. These are quotations from your source. Okay, the only thing to make sure, okay, I put this in the assignment list. Okay, make sure that you have at least one piece of information from each of your sources. You have 3 sources. You have a book and 2 websites. You need to have a quote from your book, a quote from your website, a quote from your website. You can have as many of the other ones come from one source, but you have to at least use each source once. Okay, and then turn in the assignment with the provided outline. That provided outline is what you're going to do, filling in these blanks. Okay, so this first part here is about the origin of your guide. Okay, so all of the things that you include from your sources need to be about your guide's origin. So your first concrete detail about your guide's origin, that's going to have some of the story of how they came to be. All of them were kind of interesting. Zeus's and all the other principal gods, Hera, Poseidon, all the brothers, Hades, they have the same origin story. Okay, Zeus's is a little bit different because he's actually the one that sets them free, but they all gang up to defeat Kronos. Okay, so they have the same origin story. If you have Athena, there might be a couple different stories. Okay, remember one of them, she sprouted from Zeus's head. Okay, but your God's going to have an interesting and specific, okay, origin story. That's what you're putting in here. Okay, and remember this citation is coming from the top of your source. Okay, so in our source document, remember I used this website as an example, okay, for our commenting. Okay, this came from the works cited. That's the first piece of bib information up to the first punctuation mark. If you did the source assignment correctly, okay, this is already done for you. If you get anything from this source that you're using for your job or your interesting fact or your origin, okay, that's why you labeled all this stuff, so you can find it quickly, okay, and kind of have a choice of which source you're going to use. But remember, you have to put this to show where it comes from in the outline, and that's where you do that. Okay, that's what that citation means. Okay, leave the parentheses, but change the underlined portion here to fit whatever source that you're representing. Okay. Same thing for the second concrete detail. Okay. If it comes from the same source, that's fine. Just put the same citation here. That's okay. All right. The next section is about your person's job. What are they the god of? Okay, if you have a hero, like what was their kingdom? Like for Odysseus, we'd put, he was the hero of the Trojan War. Okay, or the hero of, you see what I'm saying? Okay, so if you have a hero, I think a couple of you guys had a hero instead of a god. The job would be a little bit different, but just tell us what they were the hero of. Okay, that's the same idea here, all right? But first concrete detail about your God's job, this might be one of the things that they are in charge of, okay, or one of the things that they're good at. Again, if you have a hero like Odysseus or Achilles, Odysseus, his job, but his attribute that made his job attainable was that he had an extreme intellect, like he was really smart, okay? Another thing, he was really, really good, okay, at fighting. Okay, Achilles was his speed, but he was also impervious to any injury other than his Achilles heel. Okay, so something about what your god or your hero does, what they're in charge of. For Zeus, okay, I would have a couple of these things to say. He's the king of the gods, and he is also the god of the sky, right? For Ares, he is the god of war, okay, but he's also who people would pray to have victory in a battle or something like that. So you can have a couple of different things about what they do, okay? And then your interesting facts, the third thing that we're looking at here, okay, this is kind of where it's open-ended, okay? Something that you found interesting while you were researching about this person. But remember, show where it comes from. Each time you put a quote, okay, show it where it comes from. Try to stay away from, okay, doing too much block quotation, okay? What I would need here, so let's say that I'm doing Persephone here. That's what the sample document that I have for you that I shared that has the commenting and stuff on it that I did, okay? This is all about her job, but I can kind of split this up where Persephone was the goddess queen of the underworld, okay? That's what I'm going to quote, okay? So I can just copy that, come back, paste it where it goes here in my outline, put quotation marks around it, put the citation where it comes from, and then I'm done with that part, okay? If I want to put something else about her job, okay, I can come down here and find another place, okay? She exercises her power into effect of curses upon men and souls of the dead along with her husband. That's a different job that she does, okay? So I'm just going to cut that and then paste it to my outline, okay? And again, put the same citation where it comes from, okay? So this is, you've already kind of done most of the work with your source highlighting assignment, but this is you're kind of weeding what you have with all of the three sources and then putting your best information to explain to your audience who this person is in those three defined categories of origin, job, and then interesting fact. Okay, so this is just really just fill in the blank. Okay, you're taking a quote that you've already found, you've already labeled all those things, okay, in your sources, right? You're just taking one of those for each of these lines that fits and then telling where it comes from, turn it in, done. Okay, so it shouldn't be that difficult. And that's what I like about this assignment, the way it's kind of turned into. There's a lot of small steps in this, okay, where you're not having to do too many things at once. Okay, you've already done the work of finding all of the parts of your research that speak into these three categories. Now you're just choosing which one you're going to actually use for your paper. Okay, so don't let this be overly complicated. Okay, just copy, paste, put quotations around what you copy and paste, give the citation of where it comes from, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing. You can always change what's on your outline if when you start writing, you don't like it, okay, or you need to add something else. Okay, there is a minimum of 2 things for each Roman numeral. That's why I put 2 blanks there. If you have something else that goes there, let's say that you have 3 interesting facts that you want to put. Let's say that your God has a lot of different jobs. Okay, Zeus would be one of those. You could put 2, maybe 3 or 4 different concrete details about what he does as his job. Okay, maybe their origin story. Maybe there's several different origin stories. I know Athena is one of those. Okay, that has several different stories about how they came to be. Okay, several different ideas about where they came from. Okay, depending on what piece of literature that origin story came from. Creation stories are always kind of, a little bit vague sometimes. Okay, so if you need more than 2, okay, all you got to do at the end of this is just push enter, and then shift tab, and it'll go over to a C. If you push tab, it goes over to the right. This is already formatted, okay, for the outline. So that's all you have to do to add one of those things and keep it in the same format. Okay. Now, the way I made this to make it easy for you, okay, so that you already have the formatting done, because sometimes the formatting part is the most difficult part of the outline. It's kind of difficult understanding how all the technology works with it. Okay, and I've honestly, that's been the biggest problem that I've had grading outlines for 15 years. And sometimes it's hard to make the A's and B's and 1s and 2s and all that stuff make it work. Okay, but all I did for this is I made an MLA template just like I did for the research paper. Okay, but I had it auto format for me the outline stuff. Okay, and the way you do that, if you're going to college, something like that later on, you start off by using the letter I, okay, and a period, pushing a space bar, and then it automatically formats, or at least Google does, into that outline format. So each time you push enter, it's going to give you a new Roman numeral, and all you have to do is tab or shift tab to go left or right to make what you need in your subcategories. Okay, so that's just in the future if you want to make your own, okay, or if you need to make your own for another assignment for another teacher. I just decided to make this a template to where it's a lot easier for you and you're just entering in your information. Okay, you might have any questions? Pretty simple, right? Okay, so it's not too difficult. You're just, remember, we're building that house. Okay, that we have our source information from all of our sources. Now, we're putting some nails and some stuff. We're picking our actual boards. We've got all of them, our materials laid out. Now we're actually starting to build the walls and all that stuff. Okay, so we've got all of our things that we need to do the assignment if we've kept up to this point. Okay, we just have to plug them in, and if you decide to change this is a working outline. This is a writing tool. Okay, it's not set in stone. You can change this later. You have a lot of different information that you could use for this. I'm just asking you to start the process of kind of weeding that stuff down to what you're actually going to pick, okay, from, so you can actually start writing your papers. Good? All right.